Brian, great to have you on the podcast. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Let's
Excited about it.
no, I'm so excited to have you on. Let's kick things off. I told you this a little earlier. I'd be surprised if someone hasn't heard of Dialpad because you guys have done such a great job, but let's assume there's some people out there that haven't heard of Dialpad and or maybe you're meeting you for the first time. So give me a little bit about your background and then lead into, how Dialpad started and where it's at today.
Yeah. So Dialpad is what we call, the leading AI powered enterprise, communications and intelligence platform, which mainly translates to, for people to understand that is we provide global, worldwide communications we're in over 50 countries, all forms of communication with customers. So phone service, messaging, social media interaction, web chat, everything you can imagine for reaching out to customers with our, what we believe is the state of the art version of that we've been building for years. But then we combined it with, it's been about 6 years in development. We combined it with our own in-house AI. So we do all of our own AI. We have our own LLM that we call DialpadGPT after ChatGPT. But it's all running on our own system. And we even do our own, which a lot of people don't know. We also do our own transcription that is more accurate than what you can get with companies like Google or Amazon, because it's exactly trained on our data. So you combine like kind of the combination of, we thought, hey, the future of this is always going to be a combination of communications with AI. And we knew that, right? Hey, we have to have a platform that is fully integrated with every form of communication you could have with a customer with AI to get the most out of it. So that's kind of like what we do now. And we have thousands of enterprises like Uber, Motorola, Netflix, T-Mobile using us to enhance their customer support, their customer communications, their sales teams. And then quick like background from me and about myself and where we came from. But I was back at Google in 2002 when there was 600 people. So that was crazy, seeing that grow. But obviously learned a lot. I joined a team there through an acquisition that became Google Voice. So I helped build Google Voice to what it was, to over 10 million users with some of my current coworkers. My co-founder, Craig Walker, was is our CEO, and he was my co-founder for this. We both came from Google Voice. We thought, hey, this Google Voice thing makes a lot of sense for businesses. How can we modernize it and enhance it with things like AI, which just made perfect sense to us. So that's kind of how we ended up here. And we just think this is the best communications platform you can buy. Unbiased, but yeah.
I love it. Can you talk me through the decision process to like have your own LLM and really what went into that? I know you mentioned a little bit of the reason behind that, but would love, anything else you can tell us.
Yeah. So we started doing AI 6 years ago because when we were even at Google, we realized that you had like Gmail, and Gmail you can search everything and you have everything recorded basically because it's in text, right? But you couldn't do that with Google Voice. We had all these people who were like, I have hours and hours of calls and I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know anything about them. I can't search them. So we even knew back, 14 years ago that there was a gap there. So we always said, we have like a saying that says voice is the last offline data set. Everything else in business is trackable and has information, like too much information. But like you'd be on like a call center and you'd have hundreds of hours, millions of hours of calls potentially for a call center. And you don't know what's going on in those unless you like listen to all of them. And that was obviously impossible. Whereas if it's in text, you can do all this analysis. So one, we knew we had to get AI in this. Like we always thought ourselves as like a future AI company, even like 7 years ago. We then got this amazing demo. I knew a very small company, but it was Salesforce backed, that was the CEO was someone I worked with at Google. And they came in and showed us a demo of live coaching. And we're like, this is it. This is what we need. And this is way before, obviously, the explosion of, LLMs and ChatGPT. So we acquired that company. It was called TalkIQ. We then embedded it directly in our platform so we could do real time, which is the hardest part. So we do like real time suggestions, coaching while you're in the middle of a conversation. But then what happened, I know long answer, but what happened then is because we had this infrastructure and this team of PhDs and AI experts already in house, and we've grown it since then a lot. We have a very large AI team. And so when the LLM came out, like, oh, well, we know how to run these. It's all similar, just more advanced version of NLP. Like we already know how to run these. We know how to train them, and we know how to scale it to millions and millions of conversations a day, which is also the hard part with inference. And so we went right to it. We're like, go start building it, start training it on our 100% relevant data, not just the whole world wide web of fake news and whatever else. But like we have the best data. We're like, we have real support conversations, sales conversations, verticalized conversations. Like this is a gold mine. This is going to make our product so much better. And so we went right into it. We were immediately trying to build our own concoction of our own LLM with our own training on we have over 8 billion minutes of conversational data. That's all, like I call 100% relevant. It's like exactly what you should be training on, not just guessing things that you get from the web. And so that expertise and the data were like perfect. So that was like a no-brainer.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense why you decided to end up doing that. And how has that, having that team, how has that impacted like future product roadmap? Because that's obviously a great position to be in, to already have these experts on AI in house. How has that impacted obviously your ability to move fast? I'm sure it has, but that roadmap, how has it impacted that?
Immensely. So we even had when this whole explosion came out, of course, of ChatGPT, we immediately, when we figured out we could do this, we did a 12 months of AI roadmap. We had this whole campaign of like, we're going to ship a brand new AI feature that pretty much no one else has every month, because we already had, like, this is amazing. What a lucky situation. We have all the people in place. Unlike, unfortunately, like if you look at our competition, they were all communications. They didn't really plan on this AI thing. And so then the AI thing comes out and they're like, whoa, how do we do this? It's like, well, we already know. Like we got a massive team, like, and infrastructure already serving real-time NLP. Like, so we could do 12 months of AI. We're like, this is great. We'll show off how we can do things fast. So, and even then going forward, it's kind of a mix of like everything you need in communications, because that's also a big area that needs a lot of attention, because I still think no one's really solved unified communications. It's like they call it unified, but it's only one or two pieces of it. In combination with, hey, all AI just makes all this more useful. So half of it's like, I'd say like almost half of everything is AI, and the other half is like enterprise related stuff and communications, to stay up to with the latest parts on communications as well.
I guess as you've stayed on top of this over the years a lot, what's still maybe like, are there any concerns that you have? Are there any things that you're currently watching and hoping kind of continue to improve like quickly? Anything that you can share with us on that front?
All this is moving fast. I do think personally, and things are changing, but I think the AI that's already out there is so amazing, but we haven't applied it yet. So everyone's like playing with ChatGPT, like this is so amazing, but it doesn't really integrate with everything you do every day. And it's amazing, and you're like, this is a breakthrough, and you realized it was a breakthrough. But we're like in that curve where we peaked, and then now there's going to be a pause, and then it's going to go exponential again, because now everyone's taking this technology and they're figuring out how do they apply it. And so like and I don't think it's gonna replace jobs. I think it's just gonna enhance us. I think it's just like when the computer came out or when the internet came out and everyone was like, oh, it's gonna replace jobs, or it's just gonna make innovation happens so much faster. And if you look at the last 20 years, the innovation has gone crazy because of the internet and cloud and computer. But we didn't lose jobs. Like the jobs market was great. Like it just means every employee can do more, which means businesses can do more, which means people can be happier and get things done, and customers can be happier because they get their answers done, the answers answered faster. And just so I think it's about taking this stuff, customizing it, and applying it in real world situations. Because I don't think there's been a lot of that yet. So like that's what we're focused on. I think that's the future. And it's a long tail. I don't think it's like a overnight, it's magical. There's a lot of work that goes into making it useful. Even ChatGPT is great, but it became more useful when they added all these features in their app that aren't AI features. But now it's like, oh, this is way better now. And and I think the same thing you're going to see for all this, and that's our big focus is the technology is so amazing and it is going to do so much, but how can you apply it in something that actually has a return on investment for the company?
In your role, how do you stay away from adding certain things that maybe don't, like I think there's a trap I see with a lot of companies right now with AI is sometimes they're adding things that have no maybe core relevance because it's cool, it's AI. Like how do you determine, like I'm sure there's a lot more stuff that even you've thought about doing but you're like this has to get shelved, or like this is not a priority. So what is your decision making when it comes to building out a product roadmap to say what's relevant, what's not, and how much does the feedback from your customers come into play?
Yeah, it's everything. So one, what you're talking about, I think is, I call it like the checkbox AI. It's, like you had to have AI when this came out, else you're left behind. So every single company in the world, whether you knew anything about AI or not, what do? You're like, we got to get some AI in the product. Great, we got some AI in the product. Is it useful? Or like, I don't know, but we can say we have AI now. Like, and so we're trying and have been doing this for, again, a long time. And one of the biggest reasons people have bought Dialpad over the years was demoing our live AI like 7 years ago. Like, and so we always, when we look at things, we say, one, we have a lot of customers. We have, again, so like we're worldwide. We're over 50 countries. We're obviously getting user feedback from them. We're aggregating it. So of course it goes into that. They know, this is the coolest thing to me, is when they bought Dialpad, we were an AI company. We weren't like AI added on afterwards. So people bought us already because of our AI. So they're constantly giving us ideas. They're like, hey, you are the AI guys. Can you do this with my data? Can you do this with my calls? Can you do this with my coaching or my virtual agents? I need them to be able to do this. So it's amazing because it's like this thing that feeds on it and we respond quickly. So, and then we work with them on it. Like we do early adopter programs. We show them even our vision and they're like, yes, that's amazing. I want that. Right. And they're like, great. You're going to help us test it and we'll slow roll it out and make sure it's actually useful before we ship it. Like we say, like, value before monetization, like prove it has real value, that it's not just, a good marketing campaign. And so we're constantly iterating on things. We even try things. And then if the customer's like, it's not very useful, we just scrap it. But like, we test it like, with smaller subsets of customers and things like that. So it's kind of everything, but communications is endless. That's the thing. Like some people, if you're in a very specialized area, you're like, I kind of out of ideas for how AI would help. Like we're talking about customer communications and internal communications. There's so much that you can do there with analyzing it with AI and coaching that we have a whole list of, unlimited ideas that we're working towards, that we're just kind of stack ranking as we go. And when running it by customers and with the market first and an analyst and things like that.
What still concerns you about the space? Like, obviously, I think vast majority of people are optimistic at where things are heading. But if you had to point out also some things that are maybe worrisome or just something that you want to stay on top of because there is some concern, what would that be?
I think people are really scared about the security and data aspect, of course. especially when you look at like things like DeepSeek and it's, you know, hosted in China and the disclaimer says they'll take your data, and I'm sure people in businesses are going to DeepSeek right now and pasting things maybe they shouldn't be. I think that there's a lot of being overwhelmed with AI. I talked to a group of CIOs at a conference, and I was amazed at how many of them were using AI. I was like, wow, I thought everyone would be afraid of it. But they also said that they believe everyone's using different AI tools that they don't even know about. And so I think it's really scary for businesses that it's so fast, it's moving so fast, and it's so hard to stay up to date with it on like security regulations. We are lucky that because we are able, and this is a big selling point for why people buy us, is we are lucky because we are able to build everything in house. So a big selling point is like you use Dialpad, which you already were using our AI anyways, and we already had, you already had transcriptions and all this data trusted inside of our secure platform. Your AI ain't going anywhere. It's the same platform. It's staying inside. We're not sending it over the wall to someone else who might be doing something with it. And that's been a big selling point. So like we're lucky that we're not as impacted by that. But I do think that that's what I would be worried about with just in general people using and slapping on the latest AI, and it's hard to wrangle in like where's the data going and is it secure and what are they going to do with it, and so that's what I've been seeing. But yeah, we're very lucky to have, and it has been a big selling point of like we are closed. Your data ain't going anywhere. You already trust us with your data. It's just the same thing, but better. So it's been nice for that for sure.
What's next that you can share with us with Dialpad that really excites you? Obviously, I'm sure there's some things you can't share, but in terms of what you can.
Again, there's endless things we're doing. I think the world of communications and AI with that, there's not a lot of good options, and we're just at the beginning. And we have a lot of customers, but I'm excited because every business in the world of all sizes needs our service. So it's a cool thing that like we're not just the specific vertical, or we are a service that we have every type of business in the world using us, but not every business is using us yet. So we feel like they should, of course. But I think where we're going is that perfect blend of communications with AI, and I don't think anyone's solved it yet, of being truly unified with native AI, because and everything we're doing is enhancing our users. Like we don't believe our AI is going to replace people. I don't even honestly believe that AI is going to replace a lot of jobs. I think it's just an enhancement period, and I think that's where we're going. We're trying to save. We have customers who are like they instantly deploy Dialpad, and now their junior agents are acting like senior agents with no training because we're providing live coaching. They're like, hey, don't say this, say this. They ask a question. We respond with, here's how you should answer in milliseconds. Like that is just making the customer happy. It's making the agent more experienced. So most of our roadmap is around, and what I see Dialpad going to is how do we make everyone more efficient in sales, support, knowledge workers across all verticals? And then how do we make the interaction with the customer so enjoyable that people are like, why isn't every company using Dialpad? Because everything's better, it's faster. I don't have to repeat myself. I get answers quicker. I get my problem solved. That's our whole vision, is that we think that combination is something that has to exist together. It doesn't. It's all, kind of piecemeal add-on stuff that doesn't really seamlessly work together.
Super interesting. I do have one more question for you before we wrap
Yeah.
up here, by the way. What are you most looking forward to about HumanX?
With all this stuff moving so fast, the thing I'm most excited about is seeing how people are using things. Because my favorite thing is it's very hard for anyone to be an expert. And so, but these are all going to be the experts, that the closest we have to that in one place, because they're all experimenting. And I'd say experimenting in a lot of ways. Most of them you're going to look at and be like, oh, well, we've been working in this kind of AI for a very short period of time, probably. But we're learning so fast, and I'm excited to see how people are using it for different use cases, because it's going to be a wide range of audience and attendees, and like seeing people not in our space, how they're using it is super intriguing to me. And like we learn a lot from that. I'm always, you kind of have to evolve or get left behind. And I think this is like the conference that's all about evolution.
I agree with you. This is gonna be a fun event.
Yeah.
We'll see you there.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you so much for joining me here today.
Yeah, this was great. Yeah, thanks for having me.